Welcome to the show, everyone. This is JJ Flizanes. Thank you for downloading today's episode. Today's episode is a replay from a show I was interviewed on last week, Kelly Sullivan Walden's show on Unity Network, The Dream Doctor. And first and foremost, I have to say I'm super disappointed in the sound quality. Normally, when you do a radio show that's live, they want you to call in and you call in on your phone. Well, I don't have a smartphone, and my phone has always not sounded great. And I don't even have a hard line at the house. Never have for like a long time. So I always call in with this microphone and I call in through Skype, and I did not change the audio settings. So what you're going to hear is not this clean, crisp, direct sound. You're going to hear the computer microphone from my laptop picking up my sound. So I apologize ahead of time. The reason why I'm continuing to give you this show and why I feel it's still, the quality of the content is still so good that it would be a disservice if I didn't share it. So I apologize. Kelly's going to have me back on, and I'm going to make sure I fix this microphone situation. So again, please try to let that not get under your skin. I am super anal about sound quality. I want to bring you the best I can all the time. But again, when weighing the pros and cons of how much it pains me, the content is still worth sharing. So please forgive me for that. I, in the show, mention that we are doing a 30-day manifestation challenge. The next free one is in April, starting April 1st. And you can sign up for that at jjflizanes.com/30day. And something else I'll mention about some of the physical things that we can do to help our immunity, obviously, were the energy bits from last week's show. So you can go to energybits.com and use the code JJ to get 20% off of those. And I would recommend either the Vitality Bits, which is 50% spirulina, 50% chlorella, or the chlorella to start, because they're great detoxifiers. I mean, while I love the spirulina and I think they're both very important and they're both necessary, if you had to pick one, I would say either go with the Vitality Bits, which are 50-50, or the chlorella, which will pull out a lot of toxins in your system and definitely help in every way build your immune system. So energybits.com. JJ code for 20% off. Okay, so Kelly's been on the show many, many times. I'm not going to introduce her again since I'm on her show this time around, but the last show she and I did together was called The Hero's Journey. Very powerful show. So I hope you enjoyed today's show, and forgive me for the sound quality. I promise I'll fix it next time. Thanks.
Welcome to the Ask Dr. Dream Show, where you uncover the truth of your dreams and reveal the beauty of who you are. I'm your host, Dr. Dream, Kelly Sullivan Walden. So happy to be with you here on Unity Online Radio. I love that this is Unity. I feel like that's just the solution to every problem there is to get into that unified field. So the number to call if you have a question today about our topic, which is going to be about the law of attraction, and how that can support you in boosting your ability to be immune to all the craziness that's going on with regards to the coronavirus and just all things that are in the human realm. So the number to call is 816-251-3555. I have an amazing guest that I can't wait to share with you, JJ Flizane, who I will give a proper introduction to in a moment, but you're going to love her. And so before I get too excited, let me just stay calm and let's do a little meditation. So join with me, taking a big deep breath. And let's just release and let go of any connection to any of the wildness, any of that chaotic party going on outside, or what seems to be outside our mind, in the world of the news and all things health, pandemic, and all that jazz. Let's just release and let go of all of that for a moment. And remember that we are beyond that. We are more than that. We are connected to the infinite, to the almighty, to the one with the sun point of view. We are connected to the infinite well-being that governs this universe, the love intelligence that is everywhere all the time, closer than our hands and feet and nearer than our breathing. We are in it. We are it. And where we breathe into our oneness with life, we are strengthened, we are stronger, we are bigger than any little virus. And we can just look at that and think, oh God, isn't that funny? Once upon a time, we used to get worried about all that. So let's just connect with our future selves that is beyond all of this and that has already alchemized all of this and is standing on a new precipice of a new frontier where we are a stronger, better, more magnificent version of ourselves. Let's just breathe that in and know that that's already a reality in Divine Mind. In this dream that we are living in, we are co-creators. In fact, we could even say we're directors of our dream. So let's dream the kind of dream we want to dream. Let's make it a good one. Let's make it a great one. Let's make it one where we can alchemize any challenge that comes our way and turn it into something magnificent for ourselves and that can ripple out and touch the lives of everyone in our lives. So thank you for joining me today on the show. I'm so grateful. I'm going to pick a quick Dream Goddess Empowerment card. That'll be our theme for the day. And let's see what that is. Drum roll, please. Actually, I already picked one. I picked one and posted it on Instagram. What am I saying? I did shuffle that one. I picked Inanna. Inanna, goddess of procreation. You live in a holographic universe, and what you do to another, you do to yourself. In other words, the one you battle with is a shadow aspect of yourself. One you haven't yet embraced. Make love, not war, with the aspect of you and others you find least appealing. With the heavens on your side, you'll be rewarded with blessings galore. So that comes from my newest creation, the Dream Goddess Empowerment Deck, and it's going to launch officially, even though it's just now available on Amazon, but the official launch is going to be on Thursday, March 26th. So mark your calendar if you want to buy it then. There's going to be a bunch of goodies and extra bonuses that you can get for the Dream Goddess Oracle Deck. Okay, so without further ado, I want to bring on my awesome guest, JJ Flizane. So she is an empowerment strategist, and she's the host of the People's Choice Awards nominee, Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. She's the director of Invisible Fitness, a best-selling author of the book Fit to Love, that's fit, and then the number 2, love, how to get physically, emotionally, and spiritually fit to attract the love of your life. JJ was named Best Personal Trainer in Los Angeles for 2007 by Elite Traveler magazine. And JJ has been featured in many national magazines, including Shape, Fitness, and Women's Health, as well as appeared on NBC, CBS, Fox, and the CW, and KTLA. She is a superstar, and she is a beautiful soul, an amazing, beautiful human being, and I'm so grateful to have you on the show with me today, JJ. Welcome.
Thank you, Kelly. It's an honor to be here, and I'm so excited about today's conversation. Thank you for pivoting us today to address something that needs to be transmuted into something more positive.
Yes, thank you for pivoting with me. I mean, I think that's kind of a sign of the times. We need to be flexible. And I was having a conversation with someone a few days ago. Actually, he's an acupuncturist and Chinese medicine doctor in Santa Barbara, Mark Ruskin. And a bunch of us were talking about what do we do about this and how are we handling it? And he just bursted in and he said, boost the host. And I was like, ooh, what's that? Boost the host. And he was talking about how we humans are the host of the world, the universe that's going on inside of us. And if we are a healthy host, then we won't attract dis-ease and unwellness and all of that, or we'll be strong enough to be able to fight it. And I thought, wow, that's something that we can all do. We can all boost the host. And then it happened to be that I had already booked you for the show for today, and we were going to talk about the law of attraction. I thought, what a better what better a conversation could we be having than boosting ourselves? And you're a body mind spirit expert, so you're perfect for this. And you're wanting to talk about the law of attraction. So my God. All right, so bring it on, JJ. What's your point of view about the best way we can boost the host in this dream we're having about the coronavirus?
Well, first, I want to dispel a few myths about law of attraction. And I find that many times people misunderstand it or oversimplify it.
Mm-hmm.
And the best thing for me and why I'm successful as a podcaster on my show, Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, is because I take what is ethereal, if you will, and I make it scientific. And I bring out that science. So I sort of balance that left and right brain. The people who intuitively know, they resonate with this idea of manifestation, law of attraction, vibration, and frequency. Sometimes we don't have the science, or we don't know the science, and I was one of those who can't really explain it to someone who doesn't understand or who isn't in resonance. And so it oftentimes gets looked at like an escapism or a denial. And when we look back at Einstein, it's actually physics, because frequency and vibration is something we all understand very clearly when we're trying to find a radio station, right? When we're trying to find a frequency for a television or a radio station or for this show, we're on a very specific frequency in order for people to be in alignment with this frequency to hear what is on this frequency. But we tend to forget that we're vibrational beings and that we all emanate a frequency. That's where intuition, that's where a gut response, that's where resonance comes into play. When we walk through the world and we interpret things, we're interpreting things on a vibrational level. We are either in alignment with things or not. We are noticing things or we're not. How many times do you stand in a crowd or are with friends and notice something that other people don't notice? Now, because they didn't notice it doesn't mean it's not there. It's just in your vibration. In fact, when I speak at companies, I always bring up, because I'll speak about the power of positive thinking and relate it back to when you bought your last new car. When you bought your last car, you knew what you wanted walking in, most likely, or you tested out a few, and then you chose one. And then most likely what happened a day later, a week later, a month later, a year later, you see that car everywhere, right? Was it that everyone bought the same car when you bought the car, or all of a sudden that particular car became more important, or it was on sale? No, it was because you were literally in vibrational alignment with that car. You were tuned to that car, and now you see them everywhere. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Can I just throw in a silly little thing that happened to me on this? This is teeny and ridiculous. I was Christmas shopping a couple, I don't know, must have been a few years ago. And I wanted to get gift certificates that were like, random and different and whatever. And I was at the grocery store and I looked up and I noticed, oh, they have them all here. Everything I wanted was right there at the checkout stand. Every single thing I wanted. I was like, oh wow, how weird that you have these here. And the person doing the checking out, the cashier said, honey, we've had these up here for years, maybe a decade. I was like, what? I'd never seen them before until I was looking for them. And then bam, right in front of me. So anyway, everyone else is like, duh, Kelly, those have been there forever. But it was interesting that I just noticed them. Anyway, go on, right. JJ.
Well, you were absolutely, you were in tune with, you were seeking the vibration of these cards, which then made them available for your awareness. And in other times, you weren't focused on them, so you didn't necessarily notice them. It's not because you're not observant. It's that you were focused on something else. And I think I want to bring up a few words that are very key law of attraction terms, and some are scientific terms, that I want people to right now embed in their cells when they think of law of attraction. So the first one is going to be momentum. Every day in life, every thought you think, every story you tell, everything you look at or focus on creates momentum. And just like a snowball rolling down the hill, the larger it gets, the more powerful it gets, the harder it gets to slow it down or stop it. And when we get into any frequency or vibration, which, by the way, how we calculate or test or measure humans' frequency and vibration is based on emotion. Positive emotions are higher vibrating emotions than negative emotions. So we actually can test this. We can test the frequency of emotion and give it a hertz, right? A megahertz number and a frequency number. And the lowest vibration, the lowest frequency emotion is depression. Because what depression also indicates or means or is interpreted by the person who's experiencing that is powerless. And I'm glad that you used my term when you gave the introduction, because I am an empowerment strategist for a reason.
Yes, right.
I find that whether it be body, mind, or soul, and spirit, and relationships, oftentimes where the problem lies for us on any given subject is when we give our power away unknowingly or knowingly, and we then become disempowered. And when anyone, doesn't matter who you are, when anyone feels disempowered, meaning I have no choice, I have no power here, you will feel negative emotion. You will be out of alignment with who you really are. And if we think about the prayer, the meditation that you did at the beginning of today's show, the listeners that I'm assuming who listen to this show, and all of my listeners, know without a shadow of a doubt that they are an extension of source energy. Yeah. Source energy meaning God, or all that is, or creator. You can call it whatever name resonates most strongly with you. But let's assume and let's take it under the belief that I am an extension of source energy. I always give the example of, if source energy, creator, God is the sun, we're all a sunbeam. So our extension is that in our physically focused bodies, we are a sunbeam here on planet Earth at this time, space. But our origin and our larger connection of who we really are is back at the sun. So we are, in fact, pure positive energy at our core and in our dominant energetic expression. We're just here kind of playing around, having a good time. We've incarnated for a reason. And when it comes to law of attraction, contrast, so let's look at the coronavirus right now with contrast.
Yeah.
Contrast helps us to clarify what it is we do want and to help uncover and push us in a direction that we're here to learn. So we can take this empowerment idea and because what's happening, the momentum in the world is that we are so ingrained in the momentum of fear, the momentum of disempowerment, the momentum of victimization, that I have no control, I have no power over what's going on because this is something outside of me. And when we click into that huge momentum that's happening right now, we also then lower our own frequency into disempowerment and victim, and of course feel badly. You're never going to look at a situation like this and feel about it in a positive way, right? If you think that something is happening right now in the world and that if you believe you are a victim to it, if you believe you have no power over it or there's no reason for it or you can't do anything about it, you will always stimulate negative emotion, which will always put you outside of your alignment, because if you're a God and source energy, you're pure positive energy. So the discord really pushes us into a direction very far from our core nature, from our core energy and all of the power that we have to create our own reality. The truth is we are the creator of our own reality. And contrast, no matter how big or small it is here to serve us. It's here to serve us in whatever way you can utilize it. So for instance, there are a lot of people that I see talking about the coronavirus from a place of victim mentality of anyone who has it or could be susceptible to it, you should quarantine yourself for the betterment of humankind, right?
Right.
And so and quite honestly, Kelly, I was in Italy not even a week ago. All right. I literally, and the frequency that Doug and I had going in to celebrate my birthday was that. And before we left, they were shutting down things in Milan. We flew into Milan. We literally flew into the epicenters of these issues.
No
And
way.
and I had the contrast from my mother, from Doug's mother,
Holy
and
Lord.
and and a couple people before we left who knew we were going. And the question was, "Are you going to cancel your trip?" And I said, "No, of course
Mm-hmm.
not. I
Right.
I'm not in that frequency. I'll be fine." And so we went on our trip. We had an amazing experience. Today we were meditating and journaling, and Doug had this idea that he felt like Moses, like the parting of the Red Sea. Like nothing, like
Mm.
everything was so perfectly aligned and everything was so
Wow. Wow.
amazing because we went in with the frequency of this is not going to affect us because we're not in that frequency. And here's the reason. For me, as a mind, body, and soul trainer, life coach, educator, and whatever I do, right, podcast host,
Right.
I know that the approach to complete wellness and wholeness is not just about whether or not you're currently in sickness or in health. A lot of people think they're healthy just because they're not sick. So there's sort of
Right.
a lot of really misinformation and misguided beliefs and I think opinions about people who daily are not healthy individuals who think
Mm.
they're healthy because they're not sick. And when
Mm.
something like this happens, this is the test. Are you truly healthy? Because if you are, then you have nothing to fear. And if you're not healthy, and again, so let's take a step back because I want to
Mm-hmm.
address what I'm defining health as. First and foremost, we have, of course, we have the very basic material sciences of what it is that we consider healthy. Are you eating clean foods? Do you have low inflammation? Is your immunity high? Are you
Mm.
eating enough vegetables and fruits and antioxidants? Are you decreasing the amount of pesticides and chemicals and dyes and preservatives and things that are in your diet? So we can look at, are you getting the basic food and water requirements of what would be optimal for your body? And then of course there's the rest. Are you sleeping enough? Are your hormones balanced? But then we move into the next level of health, which is your emotional intelligence, your emotional the way that you process emotions, the way that emotions as energy come in and out of you. Do you hold your emotions? Do you have addictions? Do you deny yourself the ability to process and really truly feel and express what is real for you? Do you numb yourself on a regular basis? Again, if you're taking someone who isn't really healthy but currently isn't sick, and all of a sudden now we're entering in this virus opportunity, right? I think what's
Mm-hmm.
happening for most people, it's uncovering the truth about you're not actually at the optimal level that you could
Mm.
be at. And
Oh.
this is a way to use this contrast to say, well, what am I afraid of? And isn't the truth that I'm afraid because I don't truly feel healthy? I don't truly know what holistic health means because that emotional piece, that stress. Bruce Lipton just sent out a post on Facebook yesterday or the other day
Mm.
that 90%,
Oh.
this is out of Biology of Belief. Dr. Bruce Lipton wrote Biology of Belief, and 90% of our disease comes from stress
Right.
because stress lowers, it increases our cortisol, which is our fight or flight hormone, and that decreases our immune system because our body's in preserve mode. When you're in preserve mode, like when your gas tank's on empty, right? You're running on fumes, or you
Mm.
have the battery of something is just on the very last legs of it, right? It can't generate a lot of power, but it's just trying to eke out as much as it can just to get by.
Right.
When your immune system needs to fight something, you need all the possible energy you have in your body for those white blood cells for them to kill anything that's coming into your body. So stress, and of course, and what are we doing right now? Stressing. Everyone is stressing. They're getting on that
Mm-hmm.
negative momentum train. And so people who probably wouldn't get sick normally are literally creating sickness because epigenetics, here's another term I want you to remember. So momentum was the first one, vibration and
Mm-hmm.
frequency is another. But let's look at epigenetics. Epigenetics is the study of gene expression. That everyone in the planet has the ability to get cancer, but whether or not cancer
Right.
expresses itself in your body is about the environment
Right.
that you're in, right? So
Right.
and then look at neural pathways and the way our brain works. You create neural pathways by the thoughts you think and the things that you focus on. And when you tell a story over and over again, you create a neural pathway of experiencing what you're creating in your brain. So if we tell stories of fear and disease and discord and disconnect and disempowerment, then we are literally programming ourselves to be in alignment to look for evidence of those things.
Right.
So law of attraction is just here to refine how we focus, to give form and substance, to understand what we're creating, and to use contrast to redefine and pivot into what we do want instead of focusing on what we don't want.
Oh, JJ, you are amazing. You're just rocking my soul right now. And I don't know about you, but tell me what you think of this. I know for me in the past when I have gotten sick, I when I'm lucid in it, I think, okay, this is even an opportunity for me to create some antibodies or to create some contrast or to even go deep within myself to shine a light in a place that hadn't had light shined on it before. Or there's some part of me that's asking for attention that I had ignored. There's an opportunity, even if you get sick. So being sick, it's not about like do everything you can to not get sick. It's kind of like, and even if you get sick, there's like you can bounce back from that and actually emerge healthier and stronger than you would have otherwise. So can you address that from a law of attraction perspective?
Well, you just did. That's absolutely it. Like imagine you're driving on the road and you have those sort of bumps on the side that let you know when you're starting to veer off the road. Well, that's what contrast is. That's what the sickness is. The sickness says, hey, something's out of balance. Something's out of alignment. And it's just an indicator for you to slow down and redirect. How many people have you heard that get cancer? So I've interviewed Anita Moorjani on the show.
Oh.
She'll be back on the show, and she wrote "Dying to Be Me." And Anita will tell you that even during her decline, she rejected law of attraction because she interpreted it as it's my fault. She interpreted that I'm sick and it's my fault. Now she didn't know how to interpret that differently, so she sort of rejected it. She didn't like it. She got mad about it. But she literally manifested because the whole time she was dying of cancer, basically, she was worried. She was always in fear. She was in constant disempowerment. But she so wanted to know the truth. And I believe, and I've interviewed Dr. Eben Alexander, who wrote Proof of Heaven, and his NDE, the same thing. I think both of their NDEs are the perfect law of attraction story. They wanted to know the truth so badly, yet they were so out of alignment with the truth that they had to manifest the most perfect situation for each one of them that would then show them the truth. So there was a big momentum happening, and now the power in that is the clarity around the answer that they got. So we don't have to have cancer. We don't have to have an NDE in order for us to have clarity. We have to be open and flexible to the moment-by-moment messages that our intuition and our body are giving us, because your body is the last step. Your thoughts and feelings have to be pretty much out of alignment for a long time for you to start to have physical signs of disempowerment and misalignment. So when it gets into the body is letting you know, hey, you've been out of alignment for a while. You're overwhelmed, you're anxious, you're in fear, you're in worry, you're in resistance. The body is literally your message board saying something's wrong. So that's a blessing, right? That's a blessing.
It is a blessing. So in a moment, we're going to go to a quick break, but I want everyone to check out JJ's website, jjflizain.com. And that's JJ, the two letters JJ, and then Flizain, FLIZANES.com, and then /book, so you can check out her book, Invisible Fitness. And we've got more to talk about, and we're going to take your questions on the other side of this break, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back here on the Ask Dr. Dream Show. Well, I am on fire today. I'm so pumped up having this conversation with the amazing JJ Flizain, empowerment expert and empowerment strategist, host of People's Choice Award nominee. Spirit, Purpose, and Energy is her radio show. You can get that podcast wherever podcasts are offered. Apple iTunes, Google Play, all of those places. And by the way, you might know that that's where this show is available now, on Spotify and all that jazz. So that's exciting. And I just wanted to throw in a couple thoughts that it might seem a little random in this conversation about how the law of attraction can boost the host, and kind of give you an edge around this whole coronavirus thing. So there's two things that I watched that really put me in an amazing frame of mind. The first thing is a movie called Honeyland, and it's won all these awards. It was rated 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's a movie that just takes you so far out of your ordinary zone. I don't even want to tell you about it. You just have to watch it and watch it all the way through, even if it's not fun to watch. It at least it's. Have you heard of it, JJ? Honeyland?
I haven't. Where is it?
It's I think it's on Netflix. We just watched it last night. It takes place in Macedonia. It's just this completely different world, and the filmmakers are just extraordinary. All I can say is I feel like my whole world has changed because of watching this beautiful movie, Honeyland. And then the flip the switch TikTok thing that's gone viral. It's hilarious. I was laughing so hard this morning. Have you heard about this? The flip the
No.
switch thing? Okay. Well, if you ever come over to my house, you and I are going to have to do a flip the switch, and you'll see what it is. It's hilarious. It's Kate McKinnon and Elizabeth Warren did one, and I don't know. It's just it's like people dancing, J-Lo and A-Rod. It's like you kind of switch and become each other. It's friggin' hilarious. So I think laughter is another way to kind of shift your state. If you're feeling like you're spiraling downward and you're starting to feel the heaviness of all the drama, then do something that's going to just shift you into a different paradigm. And then I think that'll give you another stairway to heaven. And speaking of that, last thing I want to promote for a second, I created a meditation that my husband and I were talking yesterday about what we can do to be in the solution. He's like, why not just create a meditation that's free, that people can download, that gives them a boost. I'm calling it Boost. It's basically about boosting your immune system. You can go to kellysullivanwalden.com/boost and get this free meditation that's just something to put you in a really good state of mind, to boost your cells, boost your energy, boost your being. So that's what I've got for you. All right. So JJ, oh my Lord, this has been so awesome. Oh, and let me just remind people, if you have a question for JJ or myself, the number to call is 816-251-3555. And we're going to get right back in with JJ. But Denise has been very patient. I want to bring her on. It wouldn't be a complete show without hearing something from Denise. What's on your heart today, Denise?
Hi, how are you? I do want to make a quick comment about JJ in reference to what she said as far as attraction, law of attraction in the medical sense. I had my LDL cholesterol was high, and the doctor's like, okay, you need to take some medicine for that. And I said, wrong answer. I said, I'm going to beat this, and I'm going to exercise more. Already was a big exercise person, but I changed my whole diet. Went back like 5 months later, they ran the blood, and he's like, oh, it went down so well, and it's good now, and I'm so glad you took the medicine. No, I didn't take the medicine. I changed my thinking. I changed that I was going to beat this. I put it in the universe. I changed the habits around myself, and here we are. So medicine, it's not always medicine, it's how you think. But
well, I think you did take the medicine. You just took a different kind of medicine, a mental, spiritual, emotional medicine. JJ, how would you respond to that?
Well, congratulations, Denise. That is exactly the point here. There is, in the medical field, I had one of my last episodes with Dr. Evan Alexander, we talked about the ability to heal ourselves, and he said that in Western medicine, placebo is like the gold standard. And placebo is literally the ability that you think it's going to work, whether it's a sugar pill that you think is going to work, which changes your frequency to heal yourself. And on the flip side, the nocebo effect, the opposite of placebo, is when we're in this negative momentum of fear, because that will do the exact same thing on the flip side. So congratulations for taking your power back of saying, I'm going to do this a different way, and knowing and trusting and believing that it was going to happen, and boom, it happened.
Oh,
Okay.
imagine, I mean, if you had gone and taken the medicine, then you would have attributed your better state to the medicine. And maybe, I mean, not that I think God is in everything. I think God's in medicine, God's in the Western and the Eastern and
Mm-hmm.
in all of it. However, I think it's always worth it to give it a really good shot. And I love that you did that. Okay, so Denise, any
Okay.
other questions for JJ or
My
myself?
my dream.
Oh, great.
Had
Let's
a
hear it.
dream. Oh God, I love it. I had a dream. On a plane. On a plane. And of course, I don't know if you see you see in movies and stuff with a plane, especially military, they're doing those military shows and they kind of flip it and then get it back straight again, and everybody's like, the plane does the okay. So the plane did that, and of course, me and some other people were like, oh, I mean, then the plane landed, and I got off the plane, and I went to where you asked questions about the next place that you got to go to, what's the baggage area, whatever. And I went, and the lady had said, you still have to travel some more. You're in such and such place, and you need to go get on a plane and go somewhere else. And I was like, oh gosh, but that was the end of the dream. But what's important here is I have a phobia. All my life I've been flying, and one day I just woke up and said, I'm afraid of flying. So I have a
Mm,
phobia. So to be
mm.
I'm scared of turbulence. You can take me all
Okay.
around the world, just don't give me no turbulence, but that's not going to happen. So in my mind, the plane is going to go down with the turbulence. I've created that phobia, and it's real. But I only did it like 3 years ago. But when the plane flipped, when the plane flipped and did its little thing, I wasn't scared. I was like,
Oh,
oh my God, the plane! And I can go outside now and go see a plane in the air, like, oh my God, that poor plane. But in the dream, for the plane to completely, do its little cartwheel as a showboat, I guess, I wasn't afraid. And that is, to me, says so much because I have a phobia of flying, and I wasn't afraid. But I was a little mad that I had to go get on another plane once we reached our destination. But even then, I should have been like, no, not again. I don't want to get on. And I was like, okay, where do I go? I wasn't. So I just feel like the dream was so significant of the fact that I had this
yeah.
phobia, and in the dream, that fear wasn't there.
Oh my Lord. Okay, well, I want to say just a couple things because I can feel JJ wanting to comment on this because this has got her like I can feel it. So I just want to say this. When people sometimes think of a dream as being something other than reality, it's not. It's if it happens in a dream, it happens, period. It is a reality. So the fact if it were my dream, if it were me and I had a phobia of flying, but in my dream I went through not just turbulence, but flipping the plane. That's like turbulence times a million, and it was fine. Then that means I have flipped my perspective. I'm now seeing things from another plane of reality,
Mm.
and I'm playing. It's all playing. It's all a plan and it's all playing. And I feel like there is a transformation. So I would just correct the language and say in the past I was afraid to fly.
Mm.
In the past, I may have had a phobia, but wow, I lived through this and here I am, and now I'm fine. And yeah, maybe there's like gradations of excitement. Maybe at some point you'll be like, "Yay, I get to fly." But I think it's okay that you're like, "Well, I'm getting on another plane," even if you're not super excited. It's like there is progress happening here, and I
Yes.
think you're headed to higher ground, Denise. All right, JJ,
Mhm.
I'm going to turn this over to you based on all that Denise just shared. What kind of things are percolating with you?
Well, I again use contrast as information. And
Hmm.
if a dream is calling on some contrast and some fears, and while I agree with you changing the language when you come out of that and again transmuting that fear into excitement, because
Hmm.
as let's
Yeah.
say, like I've been interviewing Gay Hendricks and working on the Big Leap with my inner
Hmm.
circle members and talking about that place in which we stop ourselves from allowing that next level of manifestation, that next level of love, abundance, success, and joy. We all
Yeah.
have that temperature gauge where we bump up against our limits. And it doesn't mean that's where we stop. It just means, hey, you can go beyond this. But there may need to be, like you said, either a reframe or for me, what comes to me, because I use all kinds of different tools within the law of attraction and other tools to play with it, something like an EFT. Taking something like EFT and changing your neural pathways around
Emotional freedom
any
technique.
fear. Yes, emotional freedom technique, using the work from Dawson Church of Mind to Matter and using EFT to just go and dig. And that dream might have said, there are some fears there, and maybe you think it's about a plane, but maybe they're just sort of there, and they're there to tell you that maybe being out of control is something that is something for you. And maybe you have control issues. I don't know, I'm not putting control issue on you, but we all have a certain sense of fear of lack of control. And so maybe that is something that gets to be brought to the surface, that you could use something like an EFT on, or some kind of meditation, and you tap on the fear of lack of control to neutralize and basically desensitize your brain from patterning it in that way. Does that make sense?
Ooh, I'm hearing the
yes.
ooh factor. Oh, that's hitting,
Yes.
that's resonating, Denise. You're feeling
Yeah,
that.
that was deep. That was deep what she just said. Very, very deep.
Mm,
I like
shift.
it. She's
So
good.
shifting your fear of being out of control and doing the tapping, that would be great. Meditation. And yeah, that's the shifteroo. And I'm even thinking, like, as you were talking, JJ, about in hypnotherapy, there's such a thing, and you may have heard of hypnobirthing, where
Yep.
women are given the deep message that when you feel the contraction in when you're birthing, it's joy. It's like the extreme energy is extreme euphoria, extreme bliss, like even orgasmic bliss. And some women, not all women, are able to go in that deep and receive that, but some do, and they say it was the best orgasm they ever had, have birthing a baby. So it's
I
like
believe it.
you can take that same energy, like even the turbulence, we could call it a different story, that there's something that's shifting, or that you're breaking through a certain atmosphere and you're busting into a new paradigm. Call it something extremely powerful. I mean, and do that even with the environment we're in with the coronavirus. I mean, what if we could call this good? What if we could call this a breakthrough? What if we could call this alchemy? I mean, we might be called crazy by some, but I think we
Well,
can shift.
we could be,
Go
but
ahead.
that's the test, right? The test is, are we getting our information directly from source and our higher being, or are we getting our information from others? And that's where I think this whole show about law of attraction, how can you utilize this, is to remember that you're the creator of your own reality. You are source energy, and the information that is true is the information you're getting from within. But when we close down and give our power away and listen to everybody else, then we don't know what to believe, because we're not actually going within. So that the plane, the turbulence could be literally God knocking on the plane to say, "Hey, Denise, let go, trust me." And that would be a way I would transmute turbulence.
Yes.
And then for this coronavirus, it's also another way of source energy reminding you, "Hey, do you trust me? Do you trust yourself? Or do you trust mankind at a lower frequency?"
I think that the word trust is the big word. I've been noticing this pattern with myself, with clients, that the deeper somebody trusts, and this is for myself as well, when there's a deep trusting, and that can fluctuate sometimes, but ultimately if we really trust that the universe is on our side and that we're connected with it and at one with it, then I think that is the solution. And where there is fear, or where there is any kind of schism or illness, it's related to the lack of trust. And what's great about that is that you could say, okay, well then let me just reconfigure that belief system and get back into a trusting space. Does that resonate with you, JJ?
Yes. In fact, I would say, to take this one step further, in this
Yeah.
particular situation of the coronavirus or any illness, is the only time you're going to get the reason why, whether we come up with a vaccination or not, it won't help everybody, and no vaccinations help everybody anyway, because the root of our discontent and our dis-ease is in our frequency and in our vibration. And no medicine can fix your own point of view, your own interpretation, and your own disconnection from source and from who you really are. So in order for us to get the guidance that we need about what it is we need to do individually, each of us, for ourselves, We have to go within to hear, to be present for the download of what is right for you. And even if you are having symptoms of feeling sick, even if you do know that you need a reframe or a redirect or something different within your body to help support your immune system, you're not going to get that message if the noise you're paying attention to is outside of you, because that fear is not true for you, and the answers for them is not the same answer for you. So that trust can go even deeper into knowing that unless I am in alignment, unless I am at peace, unless I'm quiet, I can hear what I am supposed to do for me that's going to help me every step of the way. But if I have turned my attention outside of me into everyone else, then I become distracted and focused in a way that isn't going to serve me ultimately. Does that make sense?
Oh, JJ, you are on fire. And I
Yes,
want to say
yes.
one more thing before we let Denise fly, so to speak. But I just want to say that it's an interesting metaphor in your dream about the plane and even fearing turbulence. It makes me think about that Marianne Williamson quote about our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. Flight in a dream is about taking off. It's about exploring the more vast dimensions and regions of your soul and who you are and how perfect. It's kind of like, it makes me think of the Truman Show, about how in that movie he wanted to explore a greater dimension of himself and go beyond, but everyone was kind of in cahoots, like, no, stay where you are, be afraid. But really, it's like, wait, that was just this ridiculous little game. We're meant to go beyond. And there is going to be some resistance to exploring the vastness of who we are. So I think you having this dream, Denise, and sharing it with us during this show is so apropos, because you are born to fly. We are all born to fly, and we are going to bump up, as the hero's journey says. We're going to have some moments of resistance to our greatness and our ability to fly beyond where we've been before. But we break through it. We have a little turbulence and we move on and we celebrate that. So I think there's a breakthrough happening with you, Denise. And as you are lifted, bam, we're all lifted. So thank you so much for calling in
You're
today.
welcome.
I always love your dreams.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Fly on, honey. Talk to you
Thank you.
soon. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Holy Lord. Okay, so JJ, this is one thing that's come into mind, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. So I keep hearing in my mind the quote from A Course in Miracles: "Look at the crucifixion, but dwell not on it." And I think it kind of makes me think of the two camps that people can be in. I think most people are in the camp of, don't just look at the crucifixion, but dwell on it, stare at it, look at the blood, look at the guts, and then get depressed and think that life is really unfair and it sucks. And then there's the ones that won't look at it at all and that are kind of in like a relative state of la la land, disconnected, disassociated, be happy no matter what. And there's like a fakeness to that, or like there's even a nervousness in that. And I'm always trying to find that alchemy spot, that sweet spot where I'm in this world, but not of it. And look at the crucifixion, but dwell not on it. So I think it's good to know, okay, this is going on in the world. We're talking about it. It's even in the title of today's show, the coronavirus, but we're not dwelling on the negativity in it. We're like using that as a jumping off place to create beauty and love and vitality. So what's your perspective on taking a peek at it and then moving on and co-creating something else?
So what I often tell people is, something triggers you, then there's a truth about a wound that you haven't healed within you.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone that you don't respect says something negative about you, most of the time it doesn't really bother you because you don't respect them. But
Right.
then if someone you care about deeply says something even slightly off cuff, it really could wound you if
Right.
you are in alignment with that judgment. Something can't hurt you unless there's resonance already within you. So what I think has happened in this time-space reality with the coronavirus is that we have a lot of fear in our culture anyway. And now we're focusing the fear on our health. And we have a lot of people who know intuitively that they're not necessarily doing all the things that they could be doing to make themselves the healthiest on all levels: mind, body, soul, spirit, emotions. And your two extremes, I absolutely agree with. And sometimes that's how people who embody, let's say they've got a lot of subconscious fears and limiting beliefs and habits and patterns, but then they top level. That's why I really don't like the word mindset. I actually hate the word mindset because it indicates if I think positive thoughts, I should be fine. But the thinking positive thoughts is supposed to activate within you a deep belief, knowing, trust, and vibration that matches it. You can't just think positive thoughts and then have a fear and then think all of a sudden because you're thinking positive thoughts, it's going to make up the difference of the 80% of your subconscious mind that's emanating fear.
Right.
So how I dealt with all of this, I'll just quickly give you my story. We were set to leave. We were set to leave on February 25th or 24th to Italy, to Milan. And they had literally just shut down Milan in several places. And the word was, are you still going? And I said, well, of course we're still going. And so we swooped in there. But what did I do? Now, I have a regimen. It's what I teach on my show. It's what I teach as my clients. It's what I do in life. I have a regimen of addressing any possible out of alignment habit, pattern, belief, or feeling or action that I'm taking that isn't in direct, health and wellness of every aspect of my body and my emotions. So knowing how healthy I normally am, I said, I'm going to be fine. I'm not going to get this virus. But because I'm going to be drinking wine, eating foods I don't normally eat that cause inflammation, my digestion's probably going to be off, and 70 to 80% of your immunity comes from your digestion, I'm going to take precaution and start boosting, right? Boost the host. I'm going to start physically boosting my physical regimen. So I went out and I bought a bunch of immune boosting things, which I would have done anyway just because of the change in diet temporarily. But now I added extra things in order to make sure my frequency and vibration internally and externally matched. And so I've literally been doing a regimen of health things that I trust 100% has kept up my immunity the entire time that I would normally be doing anyway. And so you take this fear, you take this focus, and you be honest with yourself instead of blaming everybody else. If you're concerned for your health, whose responsibility is it to improve your health? It's yours. It's not mine. And that's not trying to blame or judge anybody. It's the truth. If it triggers you, if it evokes fear in you, that means there's truth in it for you. But there's only so much anyone else can do for you, right? Like we are the creator of our own realities and we're the ones thinking our thoughts and telling our stories and focused on the news or not. So there is a fine line of you can observe it. I never once got nervous while I was there. I never once on the way there, on the way back. I never once got nervous until I got home. And once I got home and people were clamoring around about, and I was on social media a little bit, but I disconnected. And all of a sudden I became out of alignment because I started reading and I created negative momentum from the internet, right? Of all this fear and worry and people that I love and people that are concerned. And for a minute I got on that train. And I disconnected from the knowing that I have that all is well and I am fine and everyone else will be fine too. And what we're calling to do right now with this contrast is many things. We're called to increase the awareness of what we do by washing our hands. How many people don't wash their hands normally, right? Like all of a sudden this virus is making people wash their hands, which
that's a good
beneficial. Thing. It's a great thing. We're also shining the light on what do we need to do for our health. And I think that's the greatest gift. You can decide to get on the train of fear and victimization, and you most likely will create pain and disease where there wasn't any before. Or you can decide to be aware of it, listen to your intuition about what you personally need to do for you, and be directed in that way. And again, do what you need to. I disconnect as much as I can because I know the truth for me.
Right. Okay, so we've got 1 minute, and I want you to tell everybody about your free 30-day manifestation challenge. So where can they find out about this, and what's the nutshell of it?
So part of law of attraction manifestation is doing things, practices, doing ways to get you into that positive momentum, creating a positive momentum for yourself every day. Will you stay there all day? Of course not. Contrast is needed to clarify our direction and our desires. But if we can get into that frequency, which most of us don't practice, most of us get up, listen to the news, go to our cell phones, and go on a negative momentum for the rest of the day and then wonder why we feel bad. So I've created a 30-day free manifestation challenge. I do it every so often. The next one is in April. You can find out more by going to jjflizanes.com/30day. That's 30DAY, and it's free for everybody. I give you the tools. We do accountability within the group. You get to choose a practice that works for you, as little or as much as you want to do, and it's just about keeping accountable to doing it every day.
JJ, you are amazing. Thank you so much. Her website is jjflizanes.com. And then to get her book, go to /book. JJ, you've been amazing.